Hey, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast alongside Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth, live from New York. Mike, how you doing, buddy? By the way, big news before you start, big news. We're going to go to 3 days a week, starting next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, all through the football season. 3 Stinkin Truth podcasts a week, all kinds of new features on these podcasts as well. So you've got that coming down the pike for you. And also, we're on a quest to get to 25,000 subscribers. 25,000. We've been growing a lot here recently, especially in recent weeks. So along the way, we're going to give out some prizes, maybe some shit off my desk. Who knows? Good stuff. Good stuff. Like, hey, part of what your compensation for doing this podcast with me is I gave you my snowblower.
Yeah.
Slightly used, about 9 years old.
Yeah.
Slightly used snowblower.
Runs like a Swiss watch.
Yeah. But now that I'm coming back to Denver, we may have to put that thing on. What do you like? We may have to have shared custody.
Shared custody.
Yeah. Well, like every other weekend or something of that nature.
Snow on the weekend that you don't have the snowblower handy.
Exactly.
Maybe you could give away some of the stuff that you've been packing up over the last 4 months. You guys have been in a constant state of just packing, storing, purging, all that kind of stuff. You're in an apartment there in New York City. Beautiful backdrop, by the way. But if anybody wonders why it sounds a little echoey, he's not broadcasting from a vault, not broadcasting from a library, not broadcasting from his toilet. It's a now empty, echoey apartment.
That's right. You know what we had planned? It's amazing how much stuff we accumulated over the last, the last 11 months. So we just really thought we'd be living in New York for the next 3 years. And apparently Fox had different plans. And so we're not there anymore. And as a matter of fact, so this is the last day in this apartment, right? Everything's packed up. As you mentioned, it's kind of echoey, kind of hollow in here. We've cleaned, when I say we, I mean my wife cleaned the apartment. It looks great, by the way. Good job, honey. It looks awesome. So she's doing it. And I said, hey, I went in a break when we were doing our radio show. I go, look, honey, we're both working. You're cleaning the apartment. I'm doing the radio show. And she just gave me one of these, basically. Right, yours. Right. So this is our last day. And by the way, we've got a showing on our house today. So we may fly home tomorrow and be completely homeless. If our house sells today, our apartment is now gone. We're like officer and a gentleman over here. We got nowhere else to go, Mike. Nowhere else to go.
Well, I have a couple of couches that I'm sure you guys could bunk down on if necessary. So let's get to what's going on because we are jam-packed today. The latest in the Jerry Jones, Micah Parsons saga. This is interesting. So Jerry went on a podcast with Michael Irvin and said that they love Micah and they're prepared to make him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, but that when he presented the details of the offer to Micah Parsons' agent, the agent reportedly said, quote, "You could stick it up your ass." So that is why, at least as these negotiations continue to slog on, Jerry hasn't been dealing with the agent. He's been going around the agent's back, trying to deal directly with Micah Parsons. You can't make this stuff up, Mark.
Right. The dysfunction is incredible. And you look at Jerry Jones and the way contract negotiations happen in Dallas. And I talked a lot about this with Dak Prescott years ago. When Dak Prescott, the information had been leaked to the media that this was the highest contract in the history of the National Football League. And Dak Prescott's camp continued to turn it down. And everybody got on Dak Prescott and was like, why is Dak Prescott being such a toolbox? And if he doesn't want to be a Cowboy, then screw Dak Prescott and this, that, and the other. And just consider the source. When the information is leaked and it benefits the organization and it doesn't benefit the player, well, then somebody in the organization leaked it out. And the issue we find out later with Dak Prescott is in the language of the contract because, the devil are in the details. So all of a sudden you can sit there and say, hey, man, we're making you the highest valued the contract in the history of football. And you say, well, yearly value, yeah, but if you don't give me if you don't make me the biggest signing bonus, you don't give me the most guaranteed money. Like there's a lot of things that are more valuable than the year over year average that we're trying to get to. There's got to be upfront money, the number of years, when is it voidable, all these different things. And so that's where the player doesn't want to be involved. That's where effectively, and I'm not saying that Micah Parsons doesn't have that information, but I didn't have that information. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to, like I don't have that language and the legalese to understand, when it's voidable and how much I'm actually costing myself. So when you go to the agent, say, look, this is the biggest contract ever. You're going to be the highest paid guy in the history, but they can get out of it in 2 years, or it doesn't have enough guaranteed money. Like right now in Cincinnati, Trey Hendrickson, according to a report from Monday Night Football, Lisa Salters was on the sideline. It was, believe Lisa that said it. She goes, hey man, the years are agreed upon. The average annual salary is agreed upon. All these things are agreed upon. What's not agreed upon is the total upfront money, the total guarantees. Well, that's the contract.
Yeah.
That's the contract. So you can sit there and say, well, we told him he'd be the highest paid guy in the history of the National Football League, non-quarterback. That don't mean shit. And so one of the things and one of the negotiating ploys that has happened in Dallas under Jerry Jones, and this goes back to the Dak Prescott contract, and it probably goes to the CeeDee Lamb contract and everything else. One of the issues that he employs is he does this through the media. It's not Micah Parsons releasing this information. He releases the information to the media or to the podcast, and ultimately it pits that player against the fan base, and that's not fair to the player. And it's really bad. It's just a really bad way to negotiate a contract. And he constantly does this stuff, and it constantly alienates his players. I think the other thing that's really amazing about this, Mike, is you've brought this up all the time. Like the Dallas Cowboys do a good job with drafting, but they don't get involved in free agency, right? Isn't that the narrative out there? They're not really involved in free agency. Well, why? Well, because when you wait to the 11th hour, when you sign the contract right before the first game, if you're Dak Prescott, if you do the same thing with CeeDee Lamb, if you're going to do the same thing with Micah Parsons, you're paying top dollar and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, right? As opposed to getting it done early. Micah Parsons, you knew Micah Parsons was a superstar 3 years ago, his rookie year. So what ends up happening is you don't dabble your feet into free agency. The one thing I say about free agency all the time is you're paying A+ money for B- players. Mm-hmm. That's how free agency works. So I understand if you don't want to fully invest in free agency, but when you have a legitimate hole to fill on your franchise, what it allows you to do is plug that hole with a free agent guy that you know can play, and it doesn't pigeonhole you into chasing a position in the draft. So all of a sudden you get to the draft and you're in the first round and you're like, damn, I really like these 4 players. These are my guys. I could trade back and get one of these guys. I really like them, but I can't trade back because I got to plug this hole and I got to go after this player because he's the best available at that position. And so it pigeonholes you in the draft as well. So their propensity to not get deals done early and to wait and to drag players through the mud, nationally through the media, it's just a whole nother reason why the Dallas Cowboys just suck in the way they operate as a business organization.
You took time from this podcast and your radio show and whatever other jobs
cleaning my apartment,
cleaning,
packing my apartment. Well, not really packing, watching my wife clean and pack the apartment.
Right. Yes. Planning for your first televised game of the season on Fox. Can you mention, by the way?
Yeah. I've got Carolina at Jacksonville, which is, for me, we joke around all the time that I am the official NFC South broadcaster, AFC South apparently too. I'll do both those divisions. But this is actually one of the great storylines in football.
Travis Hunter.
How much is he going to play? What is he going to play on the offense, the defensive side of the ball? How are they going to use it? Like, if you were to venture a guess right now, because I have no idea, Mike, but if you were to venture a guess, what would be your guess on how they use Travis Hunter?
everybody I've talked to said he's more of a sure thing as a Pro Bowl cornerback than a receiver. But because of the need to get Trevor Lawrence's career back on track, I think they're going to highlight him more as a receiver.
Yeah, that feels like, I think one of the reasons we always talk about ball skills with guys, right? And one of the reasons that Travis has great ball skills is, one, he plays wide receiver, obviously. So he catches the ball, he attacks the ball in the air. But on the defensive side of the ball, man, that dude understands routes and route combinations. So he understands, he has the ability to see before the ball is snapped kind of what he thinks is going to happen based on the routes that are being run or the way guys are running routes. He understands, hey, man, my guy's going in, I'm getting somebody coming back, I'm going to cheat this route, and I'm going to go intercept the ball. And then he's got the ball skills to do that. So I think that's why a lot of people said that they thought he would be an all-pro or a better chance to be an all-pro corner. Now, he's a slight guy. He's not a big dude at all. I really felt like the best use of Travis Hunter was to put him in at wide receiver, have him be a full-time starter at the wide receiver, and then have him come in and play some nickel back, have him come in situationally on the defensive side of the ball. Almost
rather than the other way around.
Yeah, that's the way it made most sense to me. And you brought up a point that I think is viable, is at some point you already paid Trevor Lawrence, right? $275 million or whatever it was. At some point, you got to get him back on track because he's been woefully inconsistent. And he'll have a throw, like when you watch him on tape, man, he'll have a throw that you just like, wow, that was big time. And then he'll have a throw where you're just like, dude, what happened? Like, it's like you never played before. So to get him some consistency, to get him continuity on that offensive side of the ball. And I know that if he has anything to say about it, because I heard his quotes before, like, hey, man, this dude needs to be on offense. If he has any say in it, I think that's the way they'll divvy this thing up. But I'm fascinated. This is one of the big storylines in the National Football League, and it happens to exist in Jacksonville.
You went on a podcast, a Raider podcast, and I'm sure that was interesting considering you like to let everybody know you went 11-1 as a Bronco against the Raiders.
I told the story. I told the whole story.
And I'm sure they appreciated that. So how'd that conversation go, and what's the feeling out there in Raider Nation about the Raiders this year? I think there's a sense of optimism from Pete Carroll taking over. You got a legitimate head coach, Geno Smith, not a bad quarterback. Heck, even Tom Brady's now, involved as a part-time owner. What's the vibe you're getting from the Raiders?
Well, I've said this a million times, and I did this. I'm doing this on our behalf, Mike, the Stinkin Truth podcast tour, where I'm bouncing around to different teams around the league and discussing their team, with them in a podcast format. And so it's been really cool to get the different perspectives and to jump on. I've been in New England. I've been now with the Raiders. I'm going to do something in Washington, in Jacksonville, in Carolina, and all the games that I'm doing. So just something that we add to the Stinkin Truth podcast, profile or portfolio, I guess I should say. Anyhow, I think the biggest sense from Raider Nation, and I've said this to you a million times, the league is a better place when the Raiders are relevant. Yep. And they just really haven't been. And I think the biggest sense is finally we have adults running the Raiders organization, from Spytek, the GM, to Pete Carroll, the head coach, to Tom Brady as, a part owner. And you mentioned Geno Smith, who I think is one of those guys who's probably, in my mind, vastly underrated. I think he's a really good player. What they did drafting Ashton Genty, this is like a double whammy for me because I hate the Raiders. And I hate Boise State.
Right.
And so it's really hard to be positive about either of those things. And yet I really like what they've done. I really do. And then there's, speculation out there right now that the potential of Trey Hendrickson getting traded could go to the Raiders to be a bookend, match or mate with Max Crosby, which if that were to happen, man, what an unbelievable 1-2 pass rushing punch that would be from the Raiders. So, I think, again, do I think they're the fourth place team in this division? Yes. But do I think they're going to be better than people think? Yeah, like if I were to rate teams, Mike, just off the top of my head, that I think are going to be better than people think they're going to be, the Raiders would be on that list. I still don't know that they chase a playoff spot because that division is so good. But do I think they take their win total from whatever it was 4 last year and pop it up to 7 or 8? Yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
I tell you the other one that's got a murderer's row in a really tough division, but watching them this preseason, the New York Giants.
Yeah. You've been high on the Giants defense.
Their
all
front
off season.
Right. Their front seven is unbelievably good. Like, they're really good. Their ability to rush the passer, their ability to defend the run. If they can get, some semblance of a running game, take some pressure off their offensive line. And, Malik Neighbors is borderline superstar in this league. I mean, I think that guy could be really, really good. They've got some players on the offensive side of the ball. It'll be really interesting to see exactly how they end up, divvying up the reps at the quarterback position. At what point will Jackson Dart get his opportunity to be the starter there in New York? I just think they're going to be a tough out. They may not win a ton of games, Mike. Whatever their over under is, I'm going to take the over because I think their defense is going to really lead them, especially early in the season.
In Pittsburgh, this is a wild stat. Aaron Rodgers is not going to play in any of the preseason games. It'll be the first time since 2004 with Ben Roethlisberger that a Steelers quarterback has not played at all in the preseason. Big Ben was already established in Pittsburgh. This is Aaron Rodgers' first year in Pittsburgh. He already got off to a late start signing with Pittsburgh. Is Aaron Rodgers, are the Steelers making a mistake not playing Rodgers in the preseason?
Yeah, no, I think you're wrong with the 2004 because wasn't he drafted in 2005? Maybe it's 2014. Maybe you wrote that down wrong.
With Ben?
Yeah. Was Ben drafted in 2005?
Keep talking. We'll get clarification on that.
Yeah, get clarification. You may have written that down wrong. I just don't. 2004 sounds fishy.
You
to me.
sent me the information.
Well, I mean, you gotta. I need you to fact check.
What do you always say?
Hey,
don't point the finger, pull the thumb.
Maybe there's a saboteur amongst us. Have you ever thought about that? Yeah, I didn't read that profile, by the way. But it doesn't matter. Whoever, whenever, whether it was 214, whether Ben Roethlisberger played or didn't play, I don't really care. I think for Aaron Rodgers. It's
been a while since a Steeler quarterback hasn't played in the preseason. How about we just go with that?
All right. Giddy up. Ish. Throw an ish on it.
Yeah. It's been
like 2004-ish since a Steeler quarterback did not participate in the preseason. So in regards to Aaron Rodgers, first and foremost, what has derailed?
Ben's first year was 2004.
Oh, okay. Was it really?
Yes.
All right, 2004. I stand
Pro
corrected.
Football Reference right here.
All right. Well, good for you. Woo. So going back to Aaron Rodgers, though. Yeah. I mean, let's just go back to Aaron Rodgers. This is okay. This is okay.
Yeah.
I would tell you what's derailed Aaron Rodgers over the last couple of years with the Jets has been his health, right? Yeah. Fourth play of the first preseason game, tears his Achilles. Then the following year, man, came out of camp. He had a hamstring that was bothering him, a knee that bothered him, an ankle that bothered him, and it bothered him from the majority of the year. I really like Arthur Smith. I really like the way they're going to establish the run game. I love the 2 tight end offense that I think they can establish, with Freiermuth and with Jonnu Smith. So I'm not concerned about Aaron. Aaron's forgotten more about football than the majority of offensive coordinators that that are offensive coordinators in this league know. So I'm not that concerned. And health for me is paramount with Aaron Rodgers. He's just got to be healthy. If he is, he's going to be able to deal. I really believe that he'll be good.
By the way, reading from the notes that you sent me, it's the first time that a healthy Steelers starting quarterback hasn't played in any preseason game since before the arrival of Ben Roethlisberger in 2004. So
Okay, there you go.
Feel free to apologize to me.
No, but you said since 2004, Ben Roethlisberger didn't play. It wasn't.
Yeah, okay. I was at least in the ballpark. You're like, I don't think Ben came along until 2014.
No. I said he came in. I thought it was 2005 when he got drafted.
All right. While we're talking about quarterbacks and health,
yes,
Matthew Stafford. Now, this is a guy who's, you forget Matthew Stafford's played like 17 years in the NFL. It's crazy. And he's had back issues before that have curtailed a couple of seasons. And now he's dealing with it again. And the Rams are saying, hey, we're just being careful. No big deal. Nothing really to see here. But I don't know. This seems like it could be a bigger deal than is being let on.
I agree. Like, you look at the Rams right now, and the Rams are kind of a Cinderella or dark horse Super Bowl champion pick all across America. Like, the Rams, I think, are really good defensively. I think they've built a really solid defense. Offensive line, they've really attacked that position in recent years. I think they've played really well. One of the things I always say about Sean McVay is he builds an offense that's a power run offense disguised as a finesse, three wide offense like that. It's different the way they do things. It's just, that's who they are. And I think they've got a really good shot. And frankly, they were the one team that really gave Philadelphia all they could handle throughout the playoffs, and almost went up in Philadelphia in a snowy environment, almost won that game. So, yeah, I'm 100% with you. I'm concerned. I talked to a scout that works for the Los Angeles Rams, who said, "Hey, same thing you're saying. Nothing to see here. We're taking it. We're being really cautious and making sure we treat this thing the right way." But having dealt with back problems, Mike, having had issues with my back when I was playing, I mean, those things are finicky. And I've said it a million times before. In the course of my career, I had 20 knee surgeries. I had one major back surgery. I would take another 20 knee surgeries just to give the back surgery back. It's miserable. And the thing that's crazy about it is you can just sleep funny or sit funny or sneeze and be out. Like, it is that fickle. It's that precarious a position. Then you think about 17 years in the league. You think about all those years in Detroit where he just got the piss knocked out of him. Like, this is a real concern for me. And, I know how the back operates, and I know how painful it is. And I know when it acts up, it's really hard to play with. It's really hard to play through in that situation. So I know they're downplaying it, but man, I have concerns, because if Matthew Stafford's out of that lineup, and I love Puka Nacua, and I love they went out and got Devontae Adams, and but if you don't have Matthew Stafford, man, you're not gonna compete in that division. There's just no way.
And we know he's Hall of Fame tough, but it's one thing to be able to battle through a short amount of time, or, hey, this is a playoff game, go out and play through it. But when you're staring at a 17-game haul and you're dealing with back issues right now, that's tough to play.
Yeah, when you're relying on, on stretching and ice and stem and heat packs and all that kind of stuff, and then you're getting injectables, you're having epidural injections to calm that area down. All it takes is if you've got a herniation, or you've got you got to say this very carefully, bulging disc in your back, not to be confused with a bulging dick in your back, because that is not something you want. You don't want either of those, by the way. Neither of those do you want. But the bulging disc in your back, if you get that, you calm it down with an injectable, whatever. But if it flares up and it touches a nerve root or what, all that stuff is so intricate in your back. And then all of a sudden, everything, tingling down your legs, toes that go numb, lack of strength or weakness, all those things are viable. And, when I had to have my back surgery, I had herniated L5-S1, both sides, herniation. I went in and had the MRI right after I played a game in Kansas City. The next morning, I flew back to Denver that night, The next morning, I'm sitting in an MRI tube, and the results come back, and the doctor says to me, "Hey, listen, we need to operate right away because this herniation is in such an area and it's so extreme that you could lose control of your bladder and bowels." And I was like, listen, man, I shit my pants on a monthly basis anyhow. Like with control. So, I mean, I can't afford this. Like, this is not going to be good. So, I mean, for crying out loud, when you hear that, like, you may lose control of your bladder and your bowels. I'm like, I got enough issues right now.
Yeah, I love football, but I don't love it that much.
I've got what we call a really stupid sphincter. It has a tough time differentiating between liquid, solid, and gas. So, like, we better operate on this thing ASAP. Like, let's get this thing underway.
We had some trades this week, and we've seen a lot of speculation that this could be a really busy trade period leading up to cutdown day next Tuesday. Couple receivers on the move, both from the AFC West. The Broncos trade Devon Vele, who was a very successful 7th-round pick for them in his rookie season. They trade him to the Saints for a 4th-round pick and a 7th-round pick. And then Sky Moore goes from Kansas City over to
San Francisco
for a 6th and 7th-round swap. So what do you make of those two deals?
Yeah, well, Sky Moore just never really worked out. He had that touchdown in the Super Bowl against the Eagles when they won that game, the first Super Bowl that they faced off against one another. So, but he just really has been, I guess, a disappointment. And you look at San Francisco, I mean, they got guys dropping like flies. They just lost another receiver to an MCL. He's going to be out for 4 or 5 weeks. A guy they were counting on to be a rotational piece to the puzzle. So you look at where San Francisco sits right now, and obviously Brandon Ayuk isn't going to be back for a while, coming off the ACL that I think he tore in, I think it was week 7, if memory serves. So, you look at where they are right now, they need players. They also just traded, as a matter of fact, for Brian Robinson, the running back from Washington. San Francisco just traded for him as well to be, to take some pressure off of Christian McCaffrey. And that guy's a really good player as well. So you look at kind of where they sit right now, and I'm telling you what, it just is amazing. I think Russell Gage is the guy that just hurt his MCL for San Francisco. So, you just look at where they are right now, man. They need bodies, and Sky Moore fits the bodies, although he's been a disappointment. So we'll see exactly what he becomes. The Vele thing is interesting because Vele was really productive his rookie year for the Broncos. Big, tall kid, 6'5", thick-bodied, wide receiver, really productive guy. And he's one of those dudes that I just think got caught up in a numbers game in Denver because Denver has done such a good job of creating depth on their roster. And then another guy that got traded yesterday, Harrison Phillips, the outstanding defensive tackle for the Minnesota Vikings, he gets traded to the Jets. And so he's back to the AFC East where he started from. He started with Buffalo back in the day. So, I mean, I just think about those kind of trades because there's going to be a lot more trades, especially if you have a deep team where you feel like, hey, man, we've got great competition. We like a couple of players. We have a guy that has played a lot for us, but he's not going to make the team. So let's see if we can get value for him. But Harrison Phillips, you got to think about, they went 14-3 last year, lost in the playoffs. Now all of a sudden it's J.J. McCarthy. They've got this defense that blitzes and gets after, people. They've got Kevin O'Connell, who's the offensive, the head coach, offensive coordinator. Real excitement in Minnesota. Maybe we win this division, and now you get traded to the Jets. You talk about bad luck. It's like getting fired from Fox. So you got to pack up your apartment and go, hey, listen, we don't need you anymore. Get out of here. So I feel bad for Harrison Phillips because I think he's a hell of a football player.
Well, enjoy your last few hours there in New York City. And it was a wild year, man. I mean, I was just thinking back on it. It was right around this time a year ago. I was out celebrating my anniversary with my wife, and I was just sitting back having a cold one afternoon. The phone rings. I see it was you. I'm like, oh, shoot. I think I know what this is. And That was the start of it. I can't believe that was just a year ago. That's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy. A year ago, they called me up and said, "We want you to do this show." 2 hours later, I had a contract, or 3 hours later, I had a contract done. And then it was like, "We need you in New York in 2 days." And I'm like, you got to give me at least 4 days. I'm in, at the time I was in Alaska. I got to fly home to Alaska. I got to pack a suitcase. Bam, I went to New York last year, August 26th. August 26th, I went to New York, and I've been here kind of ever since. I popped back in and out of Denver. But yeah, crazy year. It just goes to show you, man, you got to have shallow roots, right? Be ready to move.
In the TV business, for sure.
You never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Well, we'll welcome you back with open arms to Colorado. Again, even though you'll probably be living under an overpass for a while. So
that's right. Hey, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check us out. We're going to 3 days a week starting next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Please be here for us. We'll have lots of new features from the Telestrator that we're going to bring back to breaking down the games that I call all the leftovers, if you will. We'll do that every week. We'll take your, hey, question mark. Like, if you guys got questions, we'll have answers. We'll do it all going forward. Plus our moneymaker picks, Mike, which are always very popular, where I have just absolutely just whipped your ass the last couple of years in a row.
Brand new year. Who cares?
Brand new year.
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, I was up over 65%. I was like at 66, 67% success rate picking against the spread last year. We'll see if I can continue that hot streak. But for everybody involved in the Stinkin Truth podcast, appreciate you guys being with us, and we'll be back with you guys Monday next week.